I'm not reviewing movies alone, and I'm not in my car.
And we didn't go to the theater to see this one.
No, I think I was 6 years old when this movie came out.
I think I was 5 when I first saw it.
That's amazing.
Which means I would have been seeing it before it came out.
1986.
Oh, yeah, I'd have been 6.
And the movie that we watched together was... Oh, no. I wasn't supposed to tell people about that.
We reenacted it together.
I would say I can't quit you, but, I can. I don't have a problem.
I wish you would.
I mean, I'm not going to quit you, but I could. It's like crack or religion. Anyway, last year I reviewed the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. One of those movies that the older I get, the more I appreciate it. So, this is a movie that we watched all the time as kids, and that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That glare there. This sucks that I don't have the original. Do you remember the original?
I do, yes.
That was actually modeled after the Breakfast Club poster.
Was it really? That's a movie that could have used Leatherface.
Oh my god, if Leatherface would have showed up and killed Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, I love the movie, and I still love watching it, but there's so many parts of that movie that I'm just like, how did this qualify as a great movie back then? Like,
it's the performances.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so let's not talk about the Breakfast Club.
No, we'll talk about the Breakfast Club.
Let's talk about
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And we'll get it right out of the way. Is it as good as the original? No. But very few things are.
But it's great.
But as far as entertainment goes...
Oh my god, you can't get any better.
I like to differentiate that. Like, what I look at something from a filmmaking standpoint and my entertainment. Like I said last year, for entertainment purposes, my favorite film is Deadpool. But from a filmmaking standpoint, my favorite film is Hell or High Water. This filmmaking standpoint, yes, the first one is superior. But this one, I've watched more times.
Yeah. What I really love about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series and films similar to it is that it's in horror. There are many different genres of horror. Mm-hmm. You got the gore fests. You have the psychological. You have the thrillers.
The haunted houses. And what I love about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is it's so just sick and twisted in the mind. Like, of course it's gory, and God knows part 2 is gory as shit. Yeah, we'll get to the end scene. The only scene in the movie ever that turned my stomach.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was wonderful. We were eating Papa John's, weren't we, when we watched that?
No, I think my mom made us spaghetti.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
My mom made me spaghetti. We were watching it, and we saw that scene, and we're like, we kept eating, but for a second, it was like, oh.
Yeah, that was excellent. And Dennis Hopper really, he was so great in that because he was kind of crazy. So it kind of worked that he wasn't playing a crazy person, but he kind of was.
No, he was basically his character from Blue Velvet, only a sheriff and a little bit more southern. That was it.
And a little more southern.
This is like at the end of his drug years, which his drug decades. Although people say that he still did drugs until he died.
He's actually still doing drugs. But that's why I love the original so much. The reason it became such a huge phenomenon was it was so twisted. Like, there had been horror movies up to that point.
And some pretty brutal ones, but...
Yeah, but to get inside your head and fuck with you like that was something that's why people got out of the theater. That's why they got up and left. Oh my god, I can't picture that.
It was the first time the brutality in a film was actually kind of became a character in the film.
Yeah,
like the violence itself was a character in the film.
Yes,
because the violence was presented in such a different and unique and over the top way. But I mean, it's based. The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on several different true stories. But I know the big one is Ed Gein.
My all-time favorite serial killer.
Yeah, I mean, I think 25 fucking movies out there have been based on Ed Gein and what he did. But this one, they kind of showed what Ed Gein did
in graphic detail.
So Texas Chainsaw 1, yeah, I did a review of that last year. Go check it out. But we'll talk about Texas Chainsaw 2, which has one of my favorite opening scenes to a horror film. It's so stupid, but it's so effective.
Yeah.
Because it is, it's these two
uppity, yuppie white. Just think of today's hipster white dude, and that's what these two guys were. I never even thought. I thought it was a documentary because it was two guys in Texas just driving around shooting at road signs. I just figured that's what you all do there.
And in local news,
yeah, it's like like that one comedian used to say, "You can throw a banjo up in the air and somebody on Ohio will play it." It's true. So, we have our bad sides too. But they're driving. They call in a radio station to fuck with the radio show host. And while they're doing that, a truck pulls up next to them, and a life-size doll made of dead body parts starts being shook at them. And it turns out it's actually on, I think, what was it, like, tied to the front of Leatherface?
Yeah.
And then, because he pops up the chainsaw.
Yeah, he was
like marionetting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole time, this is being aired on this radio station.
Live.
And you hear the screams, the chainsaws, and when it's over, there's no music. There's just dead air, and it's just the character Lefty, Caroline Williams, and she's just like... And to me, that's so effective, because it kind of had a lighthearted, funny thing, and then boom, they're just dead, and it's just like...
Welcome to the sequel.
Well, okay.
That's totally set the pace.
It did, and then we get introduced to some characters, the guys in the radio station with her, and for some reason she's the only person that works in the radio station ever, because anytime they show her, it's either light outside, it'll be midnight.
Right.
That's all she does.
That's it.
She
lives there.
She has a hose hooked up that she just pees in and just stays there. And shut down for an hour so she can take a shit in the shower.
Yeah.
they play November Rain and Inagata Davida in a row just to give her time to take a shit in the shower.
And a commercial block. Gotta pay them bills.
And so then...
they showed up.
Yeah, the Leatherface and his brother show up right as the radio station's closing, requesting to hear their favorite song, which was the murder happening on live television.
Radio.
Oh, radio, yeah.
Yeah.
And hilarity ensues.
Get that bitch! Get that bitch!
Dogs will hunt! Some of the most quotable lines in cinema history happened when Leatherface and his brother... I can never remember the brother's name.
I can't either.
He had a stupid name, but it was...
He had a metal plate in his head from the war. Nobody knows what war. It could have been the Alamo. It could have been World War IV. But he had a coat hanger. He kept scratching the skin that was trying to grow over it.
He would light it with on fire.
Well, you got to sanitize it first. You know, you got to be sanitary when you do these things. When you eat your own flesh,
it is so gross when he does it. I mean, you want to barf. You're like, oh yeah.
And I think, didn't they show the plate and it was kind of dented in spots? So you know he had his plate hit, probably by his brother or his grandfather or his father, because that's what they do, which they show later in the movie.
Yeah, and so they go after her, but the station hand that's there, they end up kidnapping him. And it's hilarious because they beat him with a hammer.
Oh, man.
No human being would survive this. This is what I love about horror films. I mean, this guy was hitting the hammer by Leatherface.
Yeah.
Gigantic dude. Unfortunately, it wasn't Gunnar... what was his name? Gunnar Nelson? Not Gunnar Nelson.
Oh, my God.
That's funny, I just said that. Gunnar Hansen.
Gunnar Hansen, yeah.
It's Nelson Hansen. They're both
Same
things. But, he was played by a different guy.
But still, it's Leatherface, the character, who is just a huge monster of a person, and he doesn't know his own strength, really. He's just too strong.
In fact, the way the original movie, I said this in my review for the original, when Gunnar Hansen was trying to figure out how he was going to play Leatherface, he actually went to mental institutions and watched how people that are slightly mentally disabled walk and their mannerisms, because in his mind, Leatherface seemed mentally handicapped.
Which he really is.
And he does kind of give that performance. He performs like his, I have disabled children, and then they always stay childlike, and so he's this big hulking man, but has the mannerisms of like a 4-year-old.
Right.
And so he doesn't, you're right, he doesn't know his own strength, and he beats his fucking guy in the head with a hammer 95 times, and he lives.
And see, and that's the thing to me that speaks about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, where it's like mental. Can you imagine being hit repeatedly with a hammer in the head and surviving? I mean, what kind of life would you have after that? That would be a horrible life.
Well,
and it not to jump ahead, but when she's being hit with the hammer in the cave, what is it? The mountain thing?
I don't know. It looks like an old abandoned mine shaft or something.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the scene. It's the set. It almost looked like the set from the Lost Boys.
I thought you were going to say Temple of Doom. But
Kalima. Chainsaws his heart out. I couldn't see that. Somebody needs to make Texas Chainsaw Temple of Doom.
Texas Chainsaw of Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The Last Cruise.
The Last Cruise.
Kingdom of the Shattered Skulls.
So they have the chick and they're hitting her in the head with a hammer, and the whole time they give the hammer to the grandpa.
Yeah,
and he's barely hit her. The whole time she's shaking. She's probably having a seizure and screaming, and just watching her go through that torture, and that's the stuff that gets inside your head and messes with you for days.
See, I had to make this very clear in a review that me and Jeremy did on the movie reviews when we go see him. Made a joke about a kid. It's not that like you really don't want to see these things happen to people in real life. That's why they're fun to watch in movies.
Right.
I like a movie that makes me uncomfortable.
reality. Yes.
You know,
yes.
I like a movie that because I'm jaded as fuck. So when a movie makes me, I saw that my mom was cool. She let me watch The Exorcist when I was 8 years old. From that point on, nothing really. you're here from that point on.
Yeah.
So if something in a film disturbs me, that's why I give it to some of the later Saw sequels because they do some stuff in there that I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
No big girl.
I think that's pretty much what it is that I like about them. As far as I love all types of horror movies. I love all types of movies, really. But when it comes to horror, I do love the gory. If I'm in the mood for gory, that's what I want to see. Mm-hmm. If I'm in the mood for a thriller, a suspense thriller, that's what I want to see. With Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I want to feel disturbed.
Yes.
That's the go-to. There's plenty of good disturbing movies, but that is the one that just really... drives the hammer home.
We'll jump ahead a little bit because we're running on a little bit. So we'll jump ahead. So they kidnap the guy that works at the radio station. She follows him out there. Real quick, just to throw it in there, the reason Dennis Hopper's even in this movie is one of his kids was killed in the first movie.
Right.
And
now he's a what, sheriff?
Yeah, he's a sheriff in Texas, and he's been hunting the Sawyer family down all these years, and he hears the tape, and he comes to her and lets her know. Well, then she goes to him and like, I'm gonna go after these guys. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. And there's a hilarious scene where he's preparing to get ready to go out and look for him, where he goes to a chainsaw store and just starts smacking logs with chainsaws. Now, I've used a chainsaw. I don't care how thick a log is. You start doing this on a log with a chainsaw, it's going to start to cut it. But the chainsaws are just denting it because they're not really chainsaws. And the guy, a normal human being, watching somebody do that would be like, I'm calling the fucking cops now.
Right.
The owner of the chainsaw store is like,
they are in Texas.
That's no exaggeration. That's exactly how he did it. I'm not even making a joke here. He's like that. And Dennis Hopper smacking he gets like 4 chainsaws, one for each arm and one to strap on his back. Never gets to use any of them.
Right.
So she goes and finds out where they are, and then so does Dennis Hopper. They both, I think they showed up together, and then she fell through that whole thing. And she fell through like a trap door, and then he had to go in and try to find her.
But it's like it's a closed down like amusement park of sorts, isn't it?
I think it's like an old carnival park.
Yeah.
It's like a real small like Coney Island kind of a place.
Right.
Yeah. And when they get down in there, it turns out that's where they process the people that they cut up and make into chili. And then the guy who we think has already beaten to death with a hammer, she finds him. And his face is completely cut off, but he's still alive. Parts of his ribs are showing. Like, it's been cut off. They're just hanging there and just blood. It's so fucking horrendous, but it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Man, they definitely... If there was any kind of a budget on this movie, they spent it on special effects. And they did a great job. There's no CGI in this movie.
No.
You're looking at blood and gore and muscle tissue.
That's, go off subject again. I know a lot of people did not like that Evil Dead reboot that came out a couple years ago. I didn't mind it, and one of the biggest reasons was it's so rare that a film like that is made nowadays, and there's almost no CGI. It was all practical effects. That alone made me kind of respect that movie a little bit more.
I give it respect because of that, and because it was an Evil Dead movie. But I didn't care for it overall.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, there's a lot of people who tried to. Oh, it wasn't like the original one. No, it wasn't trying to be. It was trying to tell a different story. But,
right.
But I appreciate the practical effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grew up watching the Friday films, Slumber Party Massacres, and Nightmares, Sleepaway Camps. There's no digital effect.
Right.
Shit.
That's all plastic and rubber and masks that
Latex,
take hours to make. Just one scene, they blow it up, and then if the scene goes wrong, they got to make another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of horror movies. You could definitely tell the bigger budget movies by the better the prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
You could see some really bad low budget horror movies where like somebody gets their head cut off, and as soon as the head comes off, it looks so fake.
Oh yeah, it's a doll head for sure.
And it's great. I love that stuff.
I love those, especially those early '80s ones, man. I mean, just Chopping Mall, fucking
Chopping Mall. That's a classic.
The Mutilator.
Oh yeah.
The Mutilator is the greatest thing in any movie ever. They buy 1 6-pack of beer for a car full of people, and the entire movie they all have beer the whole time. None of them ever put that beer down. They were committed to it, and I respect that.
Yes.
That's one beer.
That's nursing a beer.
But anyway, back to Chainsaw 2 because we're running on too long. So they're in the thing. He's trying to rescue Lefty, the radio DJ, and there's like something coming out of a wall. Well, Dennis Hopper, for some reason, his character decides he's going to kick open the wall.
Yeah, he kicked it open all right.
And this is the scene that when we were eating food, we got literally, it turned my stomach. I'm talking hundreds of gallons of not just blood, but there's brain and bone and flesh mixed up in it.
Intestines.
It looks like a Chef Boyardee can, like just exploding. It's amazing.
It is so disgusting. I would have loved to have seen that when they made all that for the movie. Like, this is what we're going to pour out of the wall when he kicks it open. That was just disgusting. Absolutely sick.
I would have seen the meeting where they approached Dennis Hopper about it, because Dennis Hopper was a weird, cool guy. They're probably like, all right, look, this might seem a little weird, but we're going to have like literally 400 gallons of blood and guts and bones. He probably just went, okay.
It might have even been his suggestion.
Yeah. You know what we should do here? Hold on. You would be awesome. I'm gonna kick the fucking wall open, and fucking blood's gonna be everywhere. Ugh. And they were just like, okay.
That was how he pitched the movie. And they were like, hey, let's make that a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That's probably how that happened.
What happened is he took a whole shitload of acid and he set the whole thing up himself and never told the director. And they just kept filming it. Dennis Hopper actually said, it upsets me to hear this, but he said that this is up until the Mario Brothers film, which is terrible. He said that was the worst movie he ever made.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I actually love the Mario Brothers movie because it's so bad, but it was very ambitious.
It was an impossible movie to make.
Really?
There are movies that just can't be made. That was one. You cannot take the Mario Brothers storyline and make a movie and make it good.
Right.
I like the Mario Brothers cartoons because you can do more with a cartoon, an actual live action film. Like,
yeah.
There was a Mario Brothers cartoon on there where Captain Lou Albano played the live action Mario and they would lead into it. I thought it was awesome.
A little bit of trivia. Did you know he said shit on live TV or on the show?
Yeah, I never saw that when it happened. I've seen something on YouTube about that.
The clip is on YouTube. Somebody said the wrong line or something, and he went, "Oh shit!" and it totally made the show.
It went to air. I heard about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
yeah.
The movie, it's funny, he's got all these chainsaws. They kill Dennis Hopper as soon as he gets down there.
Oh, yeah. He was out for vengeance. His whole life was about vengeance for his son, who was murdered by this family. And he finally finds the family, and they kill him.
It's kind of like the dude in Jason 4. When he goes through all that shit, he gets all these weapons, and Jason just murders the shit out of him. And the movie ends, she gets out, for some reason the thing starts collapsing on itself. I don't remember why. I have to rewatch it.
And to me, and honestly, I think it was like the fall of the House of Usher. That's what it seemed like to me. I think it was more of a symbolism where she survived. She took basically their best, and against all odds, she survived, and she didn't kill the family, but...
No, because there's a 3, 4, and the continuity. If you tried to do a continuity thing with the Texas Chainsaw movies, you'd have a fucking embolism.
Yeah.
You'd be like, there's those chronologically confused videos like about Zelda and shit online, like in Castlevania. If you try to do that with Chainsaw, you'd just be like, none of this matches.
Yeah, it's pretty much a whole bunch of independent stories with similarities. But I saw that as she defeated the family for that movie, and their temple just started coming down.
And then at the end, it has her dancing, holding the chainsaw, screaming up in the air, and so it has a great opening shot and a great closing shot.
Yeah, she literally lost her shit. She obviously was tortured. She has seen the most horrendous shit. She found her work buddy mutilated and still alive.
And not only his face was skinned off, and when Leatherface actually tries to hide her from the rest of the family, he puts the dead skin mask, which is the name of a Slayer song, he puts the dead skin mask on her to try to hide her. I guess.
I totally remember that. He kind of had a thing for her.
Yeah, he liked her.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned that, God, I can't believe I forgot that. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
She was trembling the whole time, and he's...
It's sick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's demented. And, she's totally lost her shit well before the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah. But then she's covered in blood, fucking body parts and shit.
And, she's swinging the chainsaw around because she's gone. She's turned psycho.
Yeah, and I love it so much now because apparently she's like popping up in movies now.
Is she really?
Like, she did the I actually liked the Rob Zombie, the first Halloween Rob Zombie. The part 2 I didn't care for, except for her scene. She plays the psychologist to Laurie Strode.
Really?
And she's her therapist, and she goes to talk to her. Well, after that, she started getting in more like bit parts. Like she was in one of the Shark Tank movies, not Sharknado.
That's why I didn't see her.
I think it was part 5. I think that her and Dog the Bounty Hunter owned a pawn shop or something together. Like she was in the store with him. But she was in. I love the Hatchet movies, especially 2. 1 is kind of but 2.
I didn't care for 1.
2 is so good, mainly because Danielle Harris takes over as the girl in the store, and she's so good. And Tony Todd's in it more. And he's really good.
Tony Todd should legit be in every horror.
Look at his IMDb list. He is. He's got like 498,000 acting credits.
Somebody at work asked me what the Candyman movies were all about, and I was like, well, first, you gotta understand Tony Todd.
Yeah. He probably really is the Candyman.
He probably really is.
I mean, if Tony Todd showed up in my mirror, I'd fucking shit my pants and kill myself.
You know, actually, if you stand in front of a mirror and say his name 3 times, he shows up and watches Candyman.
He shows up to
that was funny too.
He shows up to provide a Lin Shaye style exposition on what you're doing at that moment. You will begin by brushing your teeth. I can't do Tony Todd.
No, nobody can.
I can't get my voice down that low. I can do a pretty low voice, but Tony Todd's got that demonic thing going on. But
he's got the kind of deep voice that only black guys can have.
Yeah, I don't know. There's if you're a really tall, big, fat white guy, you can pull it off.
Well, I'm not really tall.
I guess no. Even then, they're usually Italians that can do that. Mm-hmm. So your pale skin ass white guys can never pull off the Tony Todd voice. We can never be that intimidating. He can say, hello, can you pass the butter and you shit your pants. I just made pants butter.
Pants butter. Tony, if you're watching this, don't kill us.
Oh my God! I'd be dying. Like, what do you want us to say at your funeral? Like, I don't fucking care about my funeral. Right? Killed by Tony Todd on my tombstone, and take a picture of my thumbs up and just a picture of me like this.
You know what? If Tony Todd did kill me, I'd want a selfie with him. He'd be smiling,
murdering you.
Yeah,
having a knife in your heart, like, everybody. In real life, people like him in real life. He's probably like a gardener and probably does yoga and
paints.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to cut it there because this video is running on too fucking long anyway. We got to get back to watching Brokeback Mountain. I mean,
and filming the sequel.
We're only on our 3rd way through it, and we got to get to that 25, so it'll be a few days before you hear from either one of us. Watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It's fantastic.
Yay!
Bye.